Hey guys, it's Caitlin, and today I am here to bring you guys day 2 of 7 days of top 7s hosted by Book Roast. I will link her channel down below. Check her out, she is amazing. And without further ado, today's topic is 7 thought-provoking books. So I have 7 of my favorite thought-provoking books for you today, and so let's jump right into it. So the first book that I have that I want to talk about today is After by Amy Effa. This book follows the trial of a 16-year-old girl who threw her baby in the dumpster, and this is a very thought-provoking topic and not something that a lot of people write about, especially in fiction, but Amy Effa did that very well. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars when I read it. This book has just kind of stayed with me because it makes you think about like whether or not we are really responsible for our choices, because the girl in the book claims that she had no idea and that she's not responsible for her choice, but it kind of makes you think about, are we really responsible for our choices? And Amy Effa did this great story about how this phenomenon, and I just thought that it was very thought-provoking, and I absolutely loved the story, I loved the book, I loved the characters, and that is why it made my top 7. The next book that I have is one that I think is going to make a lot of people's lists, and that is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This book follows Asa Holmes, who has OCD or anxiety. I'm not sure which. I've heard that she has OCD. I'm not sure if she has OCD or anxiety, or a combination of the two. But it's just very thought-provoking because it follows her life and the things that happen to her, and it's honestly, you just have to read it to kind of understand why it's thought-provoking, but there are some concepts in this book that are very heavy and that I don't really particularly want to get into because that's why I thought that this topic was very difficult one to do, because 7 thought-provoking books, I could do 7 videos about a book, about one for every one of these books and why they're thought-provoking. And I just have so much I want to say about all these that I can't say. So Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, highly thought-provoking. You guys should read it if you haven't already. I know that it's pretty popular. That's this one. The next book that I have is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and this follows Mare Barrow, who lives in a world divided by blood. There are silver bloods and there are red bloods, and the red bloods are powerless, and there are silver bloods that have these like superpowers, and it's very cool concept, and it's a very thought-provoking concept because it really makes you think about the ideas of classism and even racism in some ways, though I thought it was more of a classism kind of idea more than racism, but I can kind of see that. And this is also a fantasy, so it's kind of nice to kind of see that sort of thought-provoking idea in a fantasy book, because most fantasy books do not have that kind of concept in them. The next book that I have is actually a repeat from day 1, and that is The Many Lives of Johnstone. This book has really just kind of stayed with me, and it follows Johnstone and a girl named Stella Park, or Spark, and they have 2 different timelines, 2 storylines. One takes place in the, I believe, 1400s in Versailles, and the other one takes place in modern day England. And so Johnstone is a immortal being, and he has recorded his time in these journals, and Stella reads these journals and kind of doesn't get that it's Johnstone, that this is his journals, but it's a very thought-provoking idea of what it means to actually live forever, or for an extended period of time, and a very long time, and it's just such a great book, and I absolutely enjoyed it, and if you do decide to read it, I hope that you enjoy it too. book that I have is also a repeat from day one, and that is Looking for Alaska. I did have to repeat this one because it is one of my favorite books of all time, and I have to reread it soon because it's been too long since I've read it. And this follows Miles, who is learning how to be kind of an event, and it's a thought-provoking book because it follows this idea that that you just kind of have to like be yourself, and that is good enough. And because Miles believes that he has to be this event instead of just being like himself, and he doesn't think that he's good enough, so he wants to try and be more like other people, and he goes on this whole like epic, he wants to go on this epic quest, and in the end he kind of just discovers on this journey what is really important. Second to last book that I have is The Testing by Joelle Charbonneau. This is a book that follows a young girl on her quest to go to college, only in this society, in order to go to college, you have to be selected to go through the testing process, and the testing process is an arduous, brutal process that tests the limits of your mind as well as your physical capabilities, and puts you through hell, basically, and most people end up dying. And it basically talks about like our contributions to society, and if you don't contribute enough to society, should you be killed, and all of these great things. It is a young adult dystopia. I absolutely adored it. I think I gave it 5 out of 5 stars or 4 out of 5 stars. Anyway, it was very thought-provoking. It made this list, and there you have it, The Testing. I will insert a picture as well because I don't have a physical copy. Last book, and one that you guys probably knew was coming again, but that is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. And this book is possibly my favorite book of all time. I'm currently reading it for the 13th time, and I'm annotating this time. You guys can kind of tell where I'm at based on the annotations. I'm reading it really slow this time, and that's kind of it. You guys know why this, if you haven't read it and you don't know, this is just a very general thought-provoking idea. Thought-provoking ideas in this book. It doesn't really have anything in it that isn't thought-provoking. It's a very deep, meaningful book. I don't really want to talk too much about it just because I'm gonna cry. This book is very emotional. I absolutely just adore this book, and if you haven't read it, read it. It'll change your life. Again, part of reading this book and finding it thought-provoking is reading it in the right time in your life, and if you don't read it at particularly like the right moment in your life, it's one of those things that you won't quite get, and I think that that's why a lot of people who read it don't like it, is because they kind of just don't read it at a time when they can appreciate it. And so if you do read this book and you don't like it, try reading it again at a later time, at a time when you really find that you need it in your life. I don't really want to say too much more about this one. Like I said, I don't want to get into it. I have so many feelings and thoughts and emotions about this book that it's not a good idea for me to talk about it. But I might do an analysis video about this one later at some point when I'm done annotating it. I think I'm going to do that. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!